Hey, everybody. So, I was doing my workout on my Peloton and I was watching Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. And you're going to hear a lot of things, probably some muted stuff from our family room as my wife's home after work at the distillery. You might hear some dogs that run by. Hell, you might hear our Roomba. Who knows? I'm in my office right now. But I was watching this and I get off after get off the bike after the Peloton ride. And it's the second time I've been watching Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. And I'm jumping off and I come down and I'm actually doing some writing on a book about Ukraine right now that I'm about to publish. And I see that Donald Trump had just announced a $200 million ballroom. And I immediately thought of how Donald Trump excoriated Jerome Powell for the money that he didn't spend and sort of a story about the renovations at the Fed and the cost overrun. And the fact that that was blown out last week, right before he announced a $200 million renovation to the White House, which is pretty interesting if you think about all the money that's been cut from people across America with Medicaid and things like that. And I found it interesting that the fog of ridiculousness, hyperbole, and disinformation was used for about a week. And some people might say it's a coincidence. But this is the very administration that does exactly what they accuse others of. So I was thinking about this disinformation tsunami that was coming, and 4 days ago, I put out a post about this very thing, that we were going to get hit with so much shit in this zone, right? That we could not tell, or normal folks, right? People that go to work every day and don't pay attention to all this wouldn't know the difference between fact or fiction, fantasy or reality, that it becomes one big blurred mess depending on how you feel, what hits you in the amygdala, how emotional you get if you have an R or a D behind your name. Now, this is a very spontaneous live. I'm not going to have so many people that I usually have. But I want to talk about Epstein very quickly and why this actually dovetails into Epstein. So Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel. I don't know if everybody knows. When you're looking at this flood of disinformation, how it can get violent. Kash Patel dropped the case against Prince Andrew and the girls that he molested underneath the Epstein banner and when he traveled to the islands. Simultaneously, obviously, you've seen Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel, and now all this coordinated messaging coming out about how the Russia hoax was fabricated by the Clintons on a Soros-based or Soros-backed funding an individual. This is the same conspiracy theory rehashed again. A Jewish cabal, a deep state or globalist deep state that's intertwined with the most evil actors trying to bring down a glorious president who's been ordained by God. That is the message. And I want to tell you why this is so dangerous. So many are going to believe it, and I'm going to tell you why. If you go back to the Durham report and the Mueller report, which are interesting because I've read all the Mueller report and so much of the Durham report, you did have an FBI that seemed to act with bias towards Trump at times with people that look like fairly bad actors, or at least were very biased based on text messages, the way they acted, the Steele dossier. Don't use too many crazy names. So there was some truth, even if it's Durham, and people can argue with this, there is some truth that the FBI was out of bounds and out of sorts there for a time. Here's the issue when you have conspiracy theorists. You can take something that is wrong, something that needs to be fixed, something fundamentally flawed. Then you can twist that to your means, and that means that everything is questioned, no matter how egregious it might be. So why would anybody believe if this Durham report came out? And by the way, Durham never found the stuff that Tulsi Gabbard found, but I don't think Durham is a cultist like Tulsi Gabbard or some wild-eyed glue sniffer like Kash Patel. Durham, for all of his faults and the fact that he would even take this job under a Trump administration. By the way, this was 2019. I don't know if people remember this. This was under the Trump administration. Never found what Tulsi Gabbard found because he actually had context and real professionals that were trying to do this job. Now, you see me talking very, very relaxed. I don't know if I can verbalize the danger we're in. I just don't. And I've been trying to. Guys, I've been trying to since my floor speech in October of 2020 about QAnon when the Republicans summarily dragged me out of the party. I've tried, and I've obviously failed. I mean, I should have probably never deleted my, big extra Twitter account of 120,000 that was growing because I was frustrated. And I'm like, why would I support such a guy as Elon Musk, some guy who supports neo-Nazi groups and likes to do Nazi salutes and pretends that's not exactly what he was doing? There's no way I wanted to support that. I always thought that with the books that I wrote, I was a bestseller. The fact that I was probably the only data truth teller in the entire January 6th investigation, including the committee, who could not have known all the data that I've had because nobody could have gone through it like we did, and we didn't have the resources. And the fact that the phone records can't even be found now. There's nobody who knew. I thought that maybe more people would come to me, the FBI. Where's our phone records? We had more phone records than the FBI when it came to them, and we were better at it. Sorry about the dogs and the Roomba that's coming through. So when I'm looking at what's going on with Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and the coordinated messaging from the GOP concerning Clinton and Obama, concerning the emails, concerning George Soros-backed conspiracy theories, and when you see what happened with the January 6th investigation, and you see what happened with everything surrounding Trump and the way he's been able to wiggle out of things like the classified documents in bathrooms, have we forgot about that? The fact that the guy just had classified documents laying around. And when you see that he does the very things he accuses others of, like spending $10 million on a Scottish golf course or pushing his own business interests at the expense of United States citizens, I find it amazing that the media cannot keep up in any way with the amount of resources that the media has. That's why I wanted to do this live. I know it's Thursday night. I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer, a Denver Downer. Don't want to do that, right? This is Denver After Dark. It's supposed to be some fun here, right? And yeah, I'm pretty good at the stabs and the jokes, and I'm pretty good at trying to present a picture or a story wrapped in, anecdotes. But when it comes straight to the data, it's going to be very difficult for people to believe anything if they don't know how to think about anything. It's very hard for people to have critical thinking skills when everything told to them by a specific person or group they believe is true. If it's a pastor or a preacher, if it's MAGA, if it's Trump, if it's Tulsi Gabbard or Kash Patel or Pete Hegseth or RFK Jr., and these are awful human beings. And I think people are afraid to say it because of access. But when I talked about the tsunami of disinformation, when I talked about the danger all of us are in, I just don't know how you untangle the bad from the exploitative and the exploited. And let me tell you what I mean here as I end on this. We can read the Mueller report, right? It's long. It's a lot of pages. Lots of pages. I mean, look at my notes. I know I've said that before. And we can read the Durham report. What we can't do, though, is we can't break apart the myriad attack vectors, the modalities of disinformation that's being hit from every angle, from every layer of the Republican Party right now, that's in lockstep with stuff that's insane. We still have people posting about UFO disclosures. We have people posting about the craziest things in the Republican Party. We have cosplaying pajama wearers like Nancy Mace. We have screamers like Derek Van Orden. We have these. It's just incredible to me. And I don't even know if I was in Congress right now, if I already wouldn't have been to some kind of confrontation on the floor, because I don't know if stupidity is absolutely the biggest disease we have in America right now. It is the number one killer of Americans is going to be stupidity and policy made from fantasy based on the bills that are being passed and legislated. And once we start actually talking about outlawing contrails and mRNA vaccines, which is happening in states, go look it up. I don't mess around. When I say something, you could take it to the bank. We're now going to have the ability of the Republicans to twist anything from the Durham report and anything out of context with the stuff that they're showing. Ask them to show the emails before and after the emails they're showing. Ask them to show the context and ask them to show the interviews that they did of those individuals that Durham already did. There's nothing here. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to try to cover for Trump and Epstein any way they can. So lastly, full circle. From ballrooms which we know now he's spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's why he went after Jerome Powell initially, from disinformation from Tulsi Gabbard and the Russians and all this thing that we're talking about, which you have this one thing with Crossfire Hurricane. It has nothing to do with Giuliani and Papadopoulos and Flynn and everybody else meeting with Russians. We know it's true. The Trump administration themselves sanctioned the very people Giuliani been meeting with and all these other individuals that are around. Come on, give me a break. Paul Manafort. What I'm telling everybody is that there's nobody going to come help us. There's no way to get off this roller coaster ride. So you're going to have to, and I hate this term to say buckle up. It's not, it's, get, I don't even know, get a full coat of armor and make sure that the people who are coming at you with this disinformation, you go right back on them with confrontation, with facts. And you have to remember that those who do disinformation are going to use things that you never even heard of. They're going to memorize everything that's been an argument to you. And there's a saying, and I'm not going to get it exactly right, but never argue with stupid people because they'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. But on the other hand, sometimes if you do get in the mud with pigs, remember they said if you get there, that's going to make them happy and you're going to get dirty too? Nah, jump in the mud with the pigs and make bacon. That's how you fight. Be careful. The disinformation's here. The problem that you're going to have with people is they're going to have some truth and some facts to what happened with the FBI and bias. And that's going to be their springboard to insanity. And that's going to be a very difficult thing for you to arbitrate. That's what I want to let you guys know. And I know this isn't some big finality of, oh my God. But I tell you, I don't know if I've ever been more concerned about the ability to put two facts together and create a lie than I have today. And that's what the Trump campaign, the team and their coordinated messaging has perfected. And I know because I was there and I got that coordinating message when I was a Republican in Congress. That's why you can trust me, because I'm telling you the truth. You guys know it. If you read my book, The Breach, if you've read Bigfoot, It's Complicated, if you've seen me on television, I dare people to come at me. I dare them. And this thing with Obama and Clinton is going to be the same thing as the Hunter Biden investigation by Cohen. A big nothing burger. And why do I know? Because I did the forensics. I looked at the data, and I know. And that's why nothing happened to Hunter Biden, except for the crimes that he admitted to. Because there wasn't a big globalist deep state conspiracy of money that was running through all the Biden's hands. It just wasn't a thing. And by the way, there was no forensic chain of custody on the data anyway that was out in the public sphere. So that was bullshit too. So you can thank Miranda Devine from the New York Post, Catherine Herridge, and even Jake Tapper to an extent on the stupidity that's been out there, which is, again, just one big part of this big thing of thought where a few facts equal ridiculousness and paranoia and conspiracy theories. Thank you, everybody, for being here in Denver After Dark. I'll see you guys Sunday night when I go live for questions and everything else that you want to ask. You'll have a great day. And again, all of this is to cover up for Epstein. All of it. Have a good day.